I'm just a normal, average American living in rural America, and I want to give my reflection on the Fauci trial. I feel vindicated. That period of March 2020, first of all, in January 2020, as soon as the word came out, I started researching what was going on, and it looked pretty early like there were different theories about what the origins were of the COVID-19 virus. And it seemed pretty suspicious to me that within a few months, different views were being shut down. And that was an alarm to me. I hadn't made up my mind. And on March the 13th, when all the schools were shut down, I'm a teacher in a local high school in a rural area. I thought, okay, this is strange, but okay. None of us were prepared. Definitely in the rural area, we did not have. Most of our students didn't have laptops, didn't have Chromebooks. I had internet at the house that could support me doing online teaching. I had to drive to the local library and to a water tap tower up the street in order to do online classes to children that didn't show up. There were only a few. And we told as teachers, whatever students got in the third quarter, we had to give that to them in the fourth quarter. And the students knew that. So the teaching was ridiculous. Thank God I lived in a sensible school system, and the Board of Education decided that we would open the following year in 2020 in September. And I hate to say it, but I actually had a medical condition where I didn't explain why I wasn't going to wear the face mask. I didn't face mask when we went back to school. The students were required to wear one. And that was very hard. It was very hard to get to know your students when you can't see their expression, when you can't tell if they understand what you're saying or if they're smiling or if they're upset. It's very hard to communicate. I saw in those years where students were forced to isolate. We had to push the desks further apart, and we had greatly limited anything that required interaction. Everything took 25% longer because of that. The mental health of the kids, it was so sad. They weren't learning, and they were very depressed. Kids couldn't be kids and laugh and joke. There was nothing. The communication was just shut down. And then I knew the nephews who were in their late 20s and 30s, and dating was shut down. They couldn't go anywhere. Could be times in their life where it was time to get married and there was no way to do it. There's no way to get together. And then there was that whole division where you vaxxed or unvaxxed in 21 and 22. I did my research. I started finding great scientists. I love the Weinsteins, the dark horse. That they were fantastic. Dr. McCullough, Dr. Zelensky. I could name many others, but then I started seeing them getting shut down. And thank God for Elon Musk. Thank God that he kept the debate open. When Fauci said, I am the science, and said, this should not be questioned, or your conspiracy theory, I know it wasn't right. That's not what it is. If you have a theory, it's a theory until it's disproven, and the field should be open for people to disprove the theory and the consequences of the theory around the COVID spread and how dangerous it was. It had enormous impact worldwide on people's physical health, mental health, economies, and just the travesty of the incredible shift upward of wealth, where so many of the middle small businesses got shut down, and they'll never return. How will that ever be paid back to them? And then just that feeling of rape, that all that money, all of that debt was accumulated by our government and stolen by villains, by crooks, some U.S. citizens, many foreigners. It's just a further and being raped. So to see Anthony Fauci plead the fifth, 123 times, it didn't matter. The case was set on all the things that he did wrong. And it didn't start with COVID. It started with the research he did and the way he directed the NIH with regards to AIDS, and countless numbers of deaths for no reason, using medicine that he knew was dangerous. And the same thing happened with COVID-19. If you died at all, and you had COVID, you died of COVID. Didn't matter if you were hit by a car. I mean, that's ridiculous. Talk about the deaths in those years. I don't even know how many deaths there were, because there were so many deaths that were miscoded. I hope we never let this happen again. I hope science continues to be science, and we allow views to speak and let people decide themselves who's right and who's wrong. To have someone in a position of power like Anthony Fauci, who wasn't even elected, tell our elected officials to shut down certain medicines, shut down certain treatments, force us to be jabbed. My son, who's in the Navy, he was forced against his will to get the jab. He filed for a religious exemption. It's denied. So that shouldn't happen. I thought we had Nuremberg to stop that from happening. I thank God for Elon Musk. I think without him, this might never have come to the light. feel sorry for Anthony Fauci because in the end, he's going to have to answer to God for the decisions he made and why he made them. And I don't wish that on anyone. I hope that he does eventually repent and apologize for the many, many errors he did at times. I think that's all.